I ghosted my cheating wife after she begged me to save her from homelessness. I met Emily for the first time in the fall of 2006, when I was 16 years old. I was a junior in high school in a little Oregonian town. I was nervous about the new school year. While hurrying to my next lecture one day, I happened to run into someone in the hallway. Books flew off in all directions. I looked up from where I was crouching to pick them up and saw Emily for the first time. At 15, her radiant eyes and beaming grin seemed to light up everything in her path. I said, "I'm sorry for that." "It's okay," she remarked with a small laugh. Our eyes locked, and I felt a connection between us. After then, we had numerous discussions. We discovered that we had a lot in common. After school, we would get together at the local coffee shop. We used to talk about our dreams, our favorite songs, and movies for hours on end. Emily had always wanted to become a nurse, and her mother was employed at the community hospital. My grandfather's military experience served as inspiration for my desire to participate in the army. We immediately got close friends. Our friendship quickly turned into something more. Together, we celebrated each other's birthdays and went to prom. We encouraged one another during the highs and lows of adolescence. When I turned 18, I took Emily to the park, and we had our first kiss under the old oak tree. I shook as I asked her to marry me. She gave a tearful yes response. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. Just before I enlisted in the army in 2015, we had a small wedding ceremony. Our closest friends and family members were present. That day, love and hope were in the air. We promised to help each other out no matter what life threw at us. Creating our family. After the wedding, I left for basic training. Even though it was hard to be away, we corresponded via letter on a regular basis. Emily's comments were what helped me get through the tough times. When I got back from training, we moved into a little house in Portland. We were eager to start our life together. 2012 saw the birth of our son Liam. The first time I held him, it felt incredible. Our daughter Sophie joined our family 2 years later. We were filled with so much love, and I felt like the luckiest man on the planet. Emily decided that she would take care of the kids at home. I continued serving in the military. Even though we occasionally had little money, we managed. I took on extra employment when I could to aid us. Emily made a fantastic mother. She was always patient and nice. She gave the kids magical memories out of ordinary experiences, making each day special. Our house was full of joy and laughter. We spent weekends in the park, watched movies on the living room floor with popcorn, and celebrated every achievement together as a family. Our life wasn't perfect, but we were happy with it nevertheless. Overcoming difficulties. I had a back injury in 2018 following a workout. At first, I thought it was just a pulled muscle, nothing more serious. But the suffering continued to worsen. My condition was determined to be a herniated disc after multiple tests and consultations with the doctor. To correct it, surgery was necessary. It was hard to take the news. It meant a protracted healing period ahead of me, in addition to announcing the end of my military career. Even if the operation was beneficial, my pain is still ongoing. Some days it was hard to complete even simple tasks. I was awarded accolades after I left the service and started getting disability benefits. Bills were paid for, but I didn't realize how difficult it would be to adjust to civilian life. Emily first offered a lot of assistance. She pushed me to focus on getting better and comforted me that we were in this together. She tried taking part-time jobs to help out, but none of them worked out. It seemed that she had a hard time getting excited about anything. I could tell she was troubled by it. Monetary challenges. By 2020, financial circumstances were getting harder. My disability payments covered most of our costs, but we didn't have much money left over. I encouraged Emily to go after her goal of becoming a nurse. I reasoned that it would benefit us materially and bring her satisfaction. She attended the community college and dropped out a short time later. She said it's too stressful. A few weeks later, she quit her job at a retail store. This began to occur on a regular basis. At first, she would get thrilled about a task, but she would quickly lose interest in it. In September 2021, we decided to buy a new car. She appeared enthusiastic about her new position, which Emily had recently acquired, and we thought it was a fantastic time. I co-signed a $24,000 car loan in her name. I thought that this would motivate her to keep pursuing her job. But by October, she had quit and couldn't afford her automobile. To preserve our credit, I took over the payments, which further complicated our already precarious financial condition. I suggested that she try her hand at finding another job or returning to school. She agreed to give school another go. I helped her set up her lesson plan and register. A few weeks later, she was able to land a well-paying job at $21 per hour with potential for overtime. It was the best-paying job she had ever had. I was hopeful. We made the decision to pay off debt and move on within the following 3 months. Spreading distaste. I saw that as Emily grew accustomed to her new role, she was spending more and more time at work. She routinely worked long hours and took on extra shifts. She left early in the morning and arrived home late at night. When she was at home, she seemed distant. I thought she was simply adjusting to her new job. I resolved to assist her out by taking on extra domestic responsibilities. I cooked and cleaned in addition to watching the kids. I wanted to make things easier for her. But no matter how hard I tried, it seemed like we were drifting apart. We had quick conversations on everyday subjects. She was always exhausted or distracted. We didn't get to hang out all that often. When I asked how things were doing, she said that she was just focused on her work. Something wasn't quite right, but I didn't want to approach her about it. I hoped that things would get better with time. The astonishing details. One evening in June 2022, Emily came home and said, "We need to talk." Her tone made my stomach turn. We had our kitchen table set. She took a deep breath. "I think I need some space," she muttered softly. "I want to move out, but I think we should stay married." It surprised me. "What do you mean? Why do you want to move out?" She glanced to the floor. "I just feel like I need to focus on myself. The house feels, I don't know, stressful. I think some time apart would be good for us." Confused, I said, "Stressful? I thought things were okay." She sighed. "We don't have much in common anymore, Jack. We've been together since we were teenagers. I feel like I haven't had a chance to figure out who I am on my own." I felt a knot in my stomach. Did I do something wrong? Is there someone else? "No," she replied solely. "There's no one else. I don't feel the same way anymore." Her comments were offensive. "You don't love me anymore." She held back. "I care about you, but I'm not sure I'm in love." I was at a loss for words. "We've built a life together. We have 2 kids. Can't we try to work on this? Maybe go to counseling?" She shook her head. "I don't think counseling will help. I just need to be on my own for a while." I answered, "You're willing to give up on us without trying." She said nothing at all. There was a deep silence. Managing heartbreak. I've never had days like the ones that came after our chat. It was astonishing how quickly things had changed. One moment we were talking about our plans for the future, and the next she was telling me she didn't love me anymore. I tried to keep Liam and Sophie to their schedule. They sensed that something wasn't right, but I had no idea why. Not even I knew exactly what that meant. While Emily looked for an apartment of her own, she stayed at the house. She stayed away from me, coming home late and going out early. It was a tense, uncomfortable atmosphere. One night, I needed clarification. I asked whether anyone else was there again. She denied it. When I asked to see her phone, she refused. That gave me even more reason to be suspicious. I replied, "Emily, please be truthful. If there's someone else, I need to know." She looked annoyed. "Fine. I've developed a crush on someone at work, but it's nothing. He has a girlfriend, and nothing will happen." "So you've been spending all this time at work because of him?" she questioned, as if something had collapsed beneath me. "No, I just like being at work. It makes me feel good." "But you're interested in someone else," I said in a whisper. She rolled her eyes. "It's just a crush. It doesn't mean anything. It means enough that you're willing to leave your family over it." She remained silent. Proceeding forward, I realized that I had to protect the children and myself. The following day, I contacted a lawyer to start the process of filing for divorce. I couldn't stay in a marriage where I wasn't respected or loved, even though it wasn't what I wanted. I told Emily she had to get her own phone plan and closed our joint bank accounts. When I told her, she became agitated. "You're trying to ruin me financially," she cried out. Politely, I replied, "I'm not trying to ruin you. I need to protect myself and the kids. You wanted to be on your own, so you need to take care of yourself." She stormed out of the house, slamming the door. I felt disappointed as well as relieved. I was upset by what we were losing, but I felt happy that I was in control. Putting the children first, I sat down with Liam and Sophie and explained what was going on. "Mom and I have decided to live in separate houses for a while," I gently told them. "Are you getting a divorce?" Liam asked, his eyes welling with sorrow. "Yes, we are," I acknowledged. "But we both love you very much, and that will never change." Muttering, "Is it because of us?" Sophie said. "No, my dear," I comforted her. "This is between Mom and me. You two are the most important people in our lives." They were upset, and I soothed them while they sobbed. I gave them my word that I would always be there for them. I arranged for them to live with me during the week and to spend the weekends with Emily after she moved out. My goal was to retain as much steadiness as possible. Emily leaves. Emily moved out at the beginning of August. Observing her pack her things seemed unreal. There was a part of me that wanted to ask her to stay and settle things, even though I knew it wouldn't help. The house seemed more vacant and peaceful without her. The constant stress has given way to quiet despair. I focused on establishing a routine for the children. We scheduled time for fun pastimes, responsibilities, and academic work. I wanted them to understand how protected and cherished they were. I also started going to counseling so I could control my emotions better. I discovered that talking to someone aided in my emotional processing. New problems. When they got to Mom's apartment one evening, Liam said there was a man there. I questioned, "What do you mean?" "There was a man there. He stayed overnight," remarked Liam. I grew outraged. Emily had introduced the kids to a new individual without asking me. In less than 2 months, she had moved out. I pondered standing up against her, but finally elected to consult with my attorney first. She advised me to keep an eye on things while avoiding confrontations that can get out of hand. Emily started asking for the kids' social security numbers. She mentioned she needed their financial assistance. I was cautious. I answered, "Why do you need their social security numbers?" "I'm applying for rental assistance and need their information," she said. I didn't feel comfortable sharing that information until I had further information. I told her I will check with my attorney and get back to her. She started to get upset. "You're making things difficult. I'm their mother. I have a right to this information." I remained calm. "I understand, but I need to make sure everything is done properly." Holding my ground. My attorney advised me to hold off on disclosing the kids' social security numbers until I received the required documentation. There was a chance the information would be misused. I told Emily, and she was incredibly upset. "You're trying to ruin me," she cried into the phone. "I'm attempting to safeguard our offspring," I answered. "If you can show me why you need their social security numbers, we can discuss it." She hung up on me. I felt angry and depressed. I had to put the needs of the children first, even though I didn't want things to be this way. Co-parenting difficulties. It was harder than I thought to be a parent in tandem. Emily would frequently be late to pick up the kids and would occasionally cancel visits. It was painful to see the children's disappointment turn into disappointment. I tried to be polite, but Emily seemed to make it more difficult. She said things that weren't true, like I turned the kids against her. I've consistently encouraged them to keep a good rapport with their mother. I made sure we were exchanging emails or texts and kept meticulous records. It was important to have everything recorded in case we needed it for legal reasons. Obtaining help. During this tough time, I resorted to my friends and family. My parents lived out of state, but they still called often to check on us. My best friend Mark was very helpful. He invited us to dinner and said he would help if we needed it. I also joined a support group for single parents. After sharing my story with others going through similar experiences, I felt less alone. It was comforting to know that others had gone through similar struggles and triumphed over them. Taking care of myself. I started focusing on improving myself as time went on. I started exercising on a daily basis to help with my back pain and to feel better overall. I would take the kids on walks or play activities outside. I also picked up some old hobbies again. I resumed painting, which I had loved so much in high school. It made it possible for me to express my feelings in a healthy way. It seemed like even the kids were adjusting. They were making new friends and doing well in school. We created new customs, like cooking pancakes on Sundays and hosting game evenings on Fridays. Balance and acknowledgement. One day, while sorting through some old boxes, I came across our wedding album. I looked at the pictures, and memories flooded back. I had a true happy moment with Emily once we started dating. I realized that people change, and nevertheless allowed myself to be unhappy. Relationships don't always last forever. The good times we spent with each other did not change. I decided to focus on the future instead of wallowing in the past. I was forgiving of Emily in my heart, not because I wanted to help her, but because I did. Anger would only make me feel worse. A whole new bond. About a year after Emily moved out, I felt like a completely different person. In addition, I felt stronger inside. Our home was once again cheerful, and the kids and I had fallen into a steady rhythm. While picking up the kids from school one afternoon, I ran into my old friend Rachel from high school. It had been years since our last meeting. We spoke for a short while before she disclosed that she had recently separated. Over the course of the next few weeks, we saw each other a few more times. When the time came, I asked her if she wanted to grab coffee. When she answered yes, we started to work catching up. It was good to chat with someone who was mindful of my experiences. We took things slowly at first, focusing on becoming friends. Moving forward. With time, Rachel and I grew closer. Liam and Sophie had taken a great liking to her when they first met. Though I was hesitant to introduce someone new into their lives, it felt natural. Emily stayed in the children's lives, but she wasn't always dependable. For the children's sake, we kept our ties intact. Our divorce was ruled final, and we formalized our parenting arrangements. Though it wasn't what I had imagined for the future, I accepted Emily and my marriage. I learned that life can throw you a curveball at any time. What matters is how we react to such changes. I decided to prioritize my family, love, and personal development. Thankfulness for my possessions. I became aware of how much I had evolved over the years. The pain that had been inexplicable had lessened. I was grateful for the support of my family, friends, and inner strength. I watched Liam and Sophie grow up to be great young adults. They were strong and kind, qualities that I found admirable. I enjoyed doing simple things like playing in the yard, helping with schoolwork, and sharing stories over dinner. Looking forward with anticipation. Life wasn't perfect, but it was pleasurable. Having built a safe haven for my kids, I had found happiness again. I continued to learn more about Rachel. I wasn't sure what was ahead, but I was open to exploring every possibility. I learned that despite hardship, happiness and recovery are possible. It's important to hold on to optimism and to treasure the people who stand by you. Are you happy, Dad? Sophie asked me one evening as I was putting the kids to bed. I smiled and kissed her forehead. Yes, sweetheart. I'm very happy. Me too, she said, putting aside her blanket. Me three, Liam murmured from his bunk. I shut their door quietly and turned out the light, satisfied. I knew that between us, we could conquer any challenge. I felt really grateful for our strong family.